Hello Spellslingers, and welcome to another Nerd Alert Saturday. Today we're going to be talking about magic. No, not that kind of magic. Magic the Gathering. That's the one. So what is Magic? It's a fantasy-based card game from Wizards of the Coast. It was first released in 1993 and has only grown in popularity over the years. The game is usually played with two players, battling it out for victory. You take on the role of a spellcaster or summoner to summon creatures or spells to defeat your enemy or your opponent. The cards can be collectible, and it's also played competitively. So I first started playing when I was in high school because I was drawn into anything fantasy based, and the artwork was really cool. Ooh, so pretty. But I continued playing the game because it's really fun once you got into it, and if you have a good group to play with. So, how do you play Magic? It's complicated. But I'm here to tell you that it's okay to ask the nerds. The basics of the game are pretty simple. Each player starts with 20 life. The most common way to win is to bring your opponent's life points to 0. And you do this by casting spells and summoning creatures to attack your opponents and defend against your opponent's attacks. You can also cast spells to destroy your opponent's creatures or attack their life points directly. Each player has their own deck of cards that they draw from to get creatures and then spells to cast. And like most card games, it begins with 7 cards. So now let's take a look at some cards. First, let's talk about lands. They're the most important cards in your deck. They're also called your mana source. They come in 5 colors: white, blue, black, red, and green. You use lands to cast your spells. You can only play 1 land per turn, and a simple deck will usually only have 1 color land in it, but if you get more into it or want to make more complicated decks, you can have multiple colors. I recommend looking at some cards that you like and pick a color or a card and building a deck around that. My favorite color is green, because green has a lot of big stompy creatures and it's pretty easy to play. Next, spells. Anything you cast from your hand is considered a spell. The most common types of spells are creatures, instants, sorceries, enchantments, and artifacts. Creatures are used to attack your enemy and to defend yourself. Instant spells can be played at any time, even during the other player's turn, or even during combat. Sorcery spells can only be played during your turn. Enchantments are permanents that represent a magical resource and often give you or one of your creatures a good benefit. And then artifacts are permanents that represent magical objects that help you out. So now let's look at the anatomy of a card. So this is the different parts of the card. So each of the card will have its name on the top left. This is Serra Angel. And on the top right is its mana cost. The mana cost is how many lands you need to be able to play that one card. So in this case, this mana cost will be 2 white and 3 of anything else, so 5 total land. The type line, which is in the middle, will tell you whether it's a creature, instant, sorcery, enchantment, or artifact. It'll also have a subtype next to it if necessary. The text box, the big block of writing, tells you what the card does and if the creature has any special abilities. There's also flavor text, which is anything that is in italic. I love looking at the flavor text. It adds to the story of the game and can sometimes just be funny. The right to bear arms. On the bottom right are the most important numbers you need to know. It's the power and toughness. The first number is the creature's power. This is how much damage it deals to a creature or player when it attacks. And the second number is the creature's toughness, or how much damage that creature can take before it dies. So think toughness kind of like your life, or the life of that creature. And that's the basic parts of the card. So now that you know some of the basics, let's look at an example of how play works. For this, I'm using Magic Arena, which is a free online resource. At the beginning of the game, randomly decide who goes first. You draw 7 cards, and then you start playing.
Hey, look!
There are 5 parts of a turn. The first is the beginning phase. This is where you start your turn. You draw your card and untap any tap cards that are in play. Second phase is your main phase. That's when you play a land card and cast any spells. What my opponent is doing now. Phase 3 is your combat phase, where you attack. Then there's after combat, there's a second main phase. If you have any untapped lands, you can use them to cast more spells or creatures. And then you can also play a land here if you haven't already played a land. Then there's an ending phase, where creatures heal if they took any damage. First main phase, play a land. You can cast any sorceries or creature spells that you have. Second phase is your combat phase. So how combat works. You attack the player directly. You don't attack the player's creatures, which is a common misconception that most new players have. The player being attacked gets to choose whether or not they are going to block. You can have as many creatures as you want block an attacking creature, as long as they are not tapped. And once you declare attackers and declare blockers, damage happens. And you just do simple math by pairing up the power of the creature to the defending creature's toughness, or the power to the opponent's life total. Some things to consider. During combat, or anytime a creature dies, it goes to the graveyard. If you cast an instant or sorcery, once that spell goes into effect, those cards go to the graveyard as well. All of the cards stay on the battlefield until they are destroyed. Now, watch the rest of this game on Arena and see if you can pick up on what's happening.
Powerful cards. Super awesome. You got me.
So, if you're interested in playing Magic the Gathering, you might want to know how to get started. The easiest way to learn to play and to get the rules down is by downloading Magic the Gathering Arena, which you saw some clips of me playing earlier. It is free and it teaches you the rules when you sign up. Also, any local gaming store has free intro decks for you to learn how to play with. There are also lots of products you can buy, Intro decks or pre-constructed decks are sold at most big chain stores like Walmart or Target, but I would recommend going to a local gaming store, which Chattanooga has some awesome local stores that you can go to. Game On off of Lee Highway near McKay's Books. There's Infinity Flux in Hickson, Epicos and Brainerd, and CM Games in Northgate Mall. They're all great places to go nerd out, and each offer a range of different things besides Magic. So I hope y'all enjoyed this short intro in what Magic the Gathering is. Now go out and sling some spells, and I'll see you next time.